everybody. Welcome back to our last section where we're going to talk about the butterfly and the moth. Remember, this week we've been entomologists where we've been studying about these amazing creatures and found some ways that they were similar and different. Yesterday it was great seeing everybody on Zoom where we made a Venn diagram and talked about those similarities and differences. Today, we're going to talk about a very special part of the butterfly and the moth. Now, if you remember from our vocabulary, this is the part that is covered in the scales. Do you remember what part that is? If you said the wings, you were right. I'm going to switch it over to get back to our story where we're going to read the last little bit of this book where we're going to talk about the wings of a butterfly. All right, so you should be able to see this, and by looking at it up close, we can see those tiny scales that cover the butterfly's wings. That's what gives it the special color. If you remember correctly, one of the things that was a difference between a butterfly and a moth is that a butterfly has bright colors, whereas a moth was more dull. It's because of these scales. So let's tune into our text and find out a little bit more information about these amazing creatures' wings. These wings are one of the most amazing creations of nature. They are lighter than feathers, yet strong enough to carry a butterfly or moth for hundreds of miles of flying. Look closely and you will see that they are covered in tiny scales. Each has a single color, like a piece of glass in a cathedral window. Together, they create the wonderful patterns and colors of a moth or butterfly wing. These wing scales come off easily, which is useful if a butterfly or moth flies into its worst enemy, the spider web. When this happens, the butterfly or moth can pull its wings away and escape. All that is left behind are a few scales stuck to the web and a hungry spider. So why are the wings important to a butterfly? Well, they help carry the butterfly or moth place to place because they're strong enough and they're light as a feather. Another thing that's important about the wings is that it serves as protection. If the butterfly or moth accidentally flies into a spider web, which happens quite often, it can escape by leaving behind these scales. Looking down at the caption, it says thousands of colored scales are arranged in neat rows on this butterfly wing. The long, straight tubes called veins help to make the wings stiff and strong. So what gives it its shape are these lines called veins. About an hour after the butterfly has emerged from its pupa, remember the pupa is the third stage where it's enclosed in a cocoon. So once it emerges from the pupa, it will stretch its new legs and gently move its new wings. It seems to test them, as if realizing it had a completely new body. The word for that complete change of body was metamorphosis, where that happens inside the cocoon where it changes from a caterpillar to a beautiful butterfly or moth. Instead of the 12 or so tiny eyes it had as a caterpillar, the butterfly now has thousands of light sensors. These are grouped together to make two very big eyes called compound eyes. For the first time, it can see the simple shapes and colors of leaves and other butterflies. It also has two long antennae on its head, which are covered with organs that sense touch and even smell. It is suddenly aware of the perfumes of flowers and can feel the wind tug at its new wings. Soon, the young butterfly becomes curious. It takes off. If you remember from our discussion earlier this week and even yesterday, one of the ways to tell the difference between a butterfly and moth is by looking at its antenna. So looking at this picture, do you think this is a butterfly or a moth? I think it's a butterfly because of the two antennas. Remember, they're long and skinny and have two knobs on the end, whereas a moth would have fat, feathery antennas and a furry body. And it does say down at the caption, it says the glass-winged butterfly from the Amazon rainforest has transparent wings. That means you can see through them, kind of like the window glass they were explaining in the last page. You can see that the butterfly body has three main parts: the head, which contains the eyes and antenna, the thorax with wings and legs, and the abdomen, which contains the heart. This form helps us know that this is an insect because all insects have three main body parts that we just explained, plus they have 6 legs and 2 antennae. I hope this week you've enjoyed being an entomologist with me, learning about these amazing creatures. And I hope everybody has a great weekend and a happy Easter. I'll see you next week. Miss Leatherwood loves you and misses you so much, more than you know. Mommy.